Hello, our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You are watching on live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. The arrival of the head of state in Brazzaville, the Republic of Congo. The closure of the third World Summit of Balance and Inclusive Education. And on the international scene, more than 200,000 people displaced in Mali due to the flame of violence. Those were the headlines. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, arrived early Wednesday evening in the Brazzaville, the Republic of Congo, to take part in the 8th Summit of Head of State and Government of the African Union High-Level Committee in Libya. The Djiboutian head of state was welcomed upon his arrival at Brazzaville airport by the Congolese Minister of State, Mr. Gilbert, the Rwandan head of state, Paul Kagame, the King of Morocco, His Majesty Mohammed VI, the Egyptian president and current chairman of the AU, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the South African president of Mr. Cyril, the Chadian President Idriss Deby, the Nigerian head of state Mohamed Yusufu, and the chairperson of AU Commission Moussa Faki Mohammed. Will be present at the summit, which is being held on the initiative of President Denis Sassou Nguesso a few days after the ones in Berlin, Germany. Actors of the conflict in Libya and other personalities who aim to relaunch the peace process will also be in Brazzaville to try to find a solution to this crisis, which has been going on since the fall of Muammar al-Gaddafi in 2011. This meeting, which is being held a few days before the next ordinary AU summit scheduled to take place in Addis Ababa, will enable African countries to reform Africa's position on the Libyan crisis. During the summit, which will open tomorrow, Thursday, at the Kantela International Conference Center, the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Margili, will deliver an important speech in which he will evoke the African vision of the revolution of this crisis. The Djiboutian head of state will undoubtedly underline the imperative to examine with the Libyan parties and neighboring states, which are also affected, the ways and means to find a peaceful way out of the crisis that will put an end to the infernal and tragic process. Africa's position is clear. It is about the respect of the arms embargo and the advocation negotiation with all these protagonists of a crisis, said Ambassador Mohamed Idriss Farah, a permanent representative of the Republic of Djibouti to AU. In addition, the Djiboutian head of state will meet with several of his African peers, including Congolese President Denis Sassou Nguesso. To achieve the high quality education for all learners and development of a more inclusive society, the third Forum of Balance and Inclusive Education, which opened 3 days ago and co-organized with the Educational Relief Foundation, close with a common consensus of the signing of Universal Declaration of Balance and Inclusive Education. On the signing as a platform and mechanism for technical and financial cooperation to support the implementation of a commission made at the Universal Declaration, convinced of the urgency of building new equitable models of social and economic development through education. The International Summit of the Balance and Inclusive Education embrace new ideas and ensure that a new path can be found. It is this spirit that a charter was signed during the Universal Declaration on Balance and Inclusive Education, which advances a new concept and places them within a global, flexible, and operation structure based on four key pillars, namely an culturalism, the transdisciplinarity, and the dialectism, the contextuality, also the adoption of the Universal Declaration on Balance and Inclusive Education will enable the establishment of a new multilateral instrument of technical and financial cooperation, ensuring a viable mechanism to support education system worldwide, the same sources state. Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam stressed that during the work of these days, the head of this exchange of a common language has been articulated so that we can achieve a constructive dialogue and exchange. Let us listen to his speech.
Sans doute, se croit vouée à refaire le monde. Each generation, without a doubt, thinks itself as bound to remake the world. Ma génération pourtant sait qu'elle ne le refera pas. My generation, however, knows that it will not remake it. Mais cette tâche est peut-être plus grande encore. But its task is perhaps greater still. Elle consiste à faire en sorte que le monde ne se défasse pas. It consists in making sure that the world does not unmake itself. And more than 6 decades following Camus' words, I think that we have this task that is unique and peculiar in that we know that we can only ensure that the world does not unmake itself by unmaking the systems which have led the world to the brink of unmaking itself, so as to eventually, indeed, remake it.
For his part, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamal Mohammed held a speech in which he recalled the resounding success of the summit was above all possible thanks to all of you he present. Let's listen to his speech.
Le succès retentissant de ce sommet a été avant tout possible.
The resounding success of this summit was above all possible thanks to all of you here present. You made it possible thanks to the strength of conviction that year after year, each of you made it possible by a massive mobilization, by responding to our invitation, and by coming from the four corners of the world. In particular, by the strong presence of high-ranking personalities. You made it possible thanks to the quality of your debates, the relevance of the issues addressed, as well as the accuracy and insightfulness of the answers developed during these few days. The moments that we lived has been historic by its scope in terms of signing the Universal Declaration of Balanced and Inclusive Education statements, as well as the Charter of Educational Cooperation. You paved the way for a new era of cooperation in international education in this perspective. It is all about noteworthy fact is underlined, which is now thanks to your collective efforts, the countries of the South will have not only a framework of collaborations that are truly responsive to their aspirations and in line with our respective cultures to enable them to develop partnerships, multilateral education balanced and inclusive, but also conceptual instruments, technical and financial, to be able to implement policies and strategies that respond closely to their priorities.
After the closing speech of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed at the Third World Summit on Balance and Inclusive Education, the President of the Foundation Education Relief, Sheikh Mansour, and the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training held a press conference for the national and regional journalists who came to cover this Third International Summit on Balance and Inclusive Education. The President of the Foundation Education Relief, Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, answered first of all the question asked by our colleague Hamza on the text step star after the third summit. Here is his answer.
Gargantuan task ahead. The Goliath has only grown in size, and we have to ensure that we achieve everything that we have set out to achieve. Not merely for the OEC, not merely for the signing countries, but truly, if we are successful, we are speaking of an absolute transformation of the dynamics in the benefit of everyone. And I know this sounds ambitious, but this is what is happening. I think that His Excellency the Minister can also give you his perspective, but as you are aware, Djibouti participated to the last Forum BIE 2030 that was held in Mexico City, in which occasion I had the great pleasure and honor to meet His Excellency the Minister of Education, in which we had a bilateral meeting that was most fruitful. And following that meeting, His Excellency invited me to visit the country, because as part of the international call to action, and that His Excellency in Djibouti was one of the first countries to sign, there was a call to coordinate the launch of pilot projects. And Djibouti's invitation inscribed itself in a larger series of visits that I have done in the past year.
The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mohamoud, replied to a question asked by the colleague for the daily newspaper. Let's listen to his answer.
Personnellement, et pour Djibouti, c'est une fierté. C'est une fierté et Djibouti est vraiment honoreux.
In its educational policy, it is really the dedication of 20 years of efforts, 20 years of commitment of the state of Djibouti to really improve education. The celebration to see today this organization to be launched in Djibouti, really, I believe that we cannot even measure the joy, and somewhere today we still do not realize it, but it is of course a hysterical moment, and therefore I believe that you share with me, all of you here on this list of this book, now in this conference, the joy. And I also on this occasion really wanted to congratulate the new Secretary General of the Organization of Educational Cooperation. That man, of course, is Sheikh Mansour. And I think it seems he looks very young physically. We see him like that, but intelligence isn't really related to age. And I think that he has a vision. The fact that he has already accepted that this forum can be organized in Djibouti is therefore for us, I think, is a gift. A gift that is really something more than we can really measure. So I really wanted once again to thank him from the bottom of my heart on behalf of all the Djiboutians.
Obituary now, we have just learned with great sadness of the death of the late Ismail Abtidon Yunis, halfway through the evening at Peltier Hospital, a former member of the National Assembly and for a long time a journalist with Somali section of Djibouti radio and television. Upon the announcement of this death, the Prime Minister, acting head of government, on his own behalf and on behalf of the President of the Republic and the government, addressed a message of condolence to the family of the deceased. The President of the National Assembly, on a mission abroad, also sent us a message of condolence, saluting the memory of the former Deputy Ismail Abtidon Yunis, members of the National Assembly between 2008 and 2013. Ismail Abtidon Yunis, who is very well known among Djiboutians, was a journalist at the RTD for almost 30 years. years. He started his career from 1981 until 2008 when he was elected to the National Assembly. During his long career, Ismail Abtidon Yunis has hosted numerous programs that are very popular with the Djiboutian public, including Radio Sahan, a weekly radio program, and the produced by the former journalist Abu Bakr Musa, to name but a few. The late has devoted his life to the journalism and profession, which was his passion through all his works. Ismail Abtidon Yunis was also and always placed to the general interest of the nation above any partisan of personal careers. The news of his disappearance was hardly felt by all the bodies of the Djiboutian prince and broadcast media, which celebrate his memory and gather in front of his remains. The disease is to be buried tonight. May God welcome him to his own vast paradise. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Numerous participants from African, Arab, Asian, Latin American, Caribbean, and Pacific countries took part in the Third World Summit on Balanced and Inclusive Education, which closed its doors today. The summit took place from 27 to 29 January, and on the sidelines of the third summit at the Campeski Hotel, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed met with the delegation of the United Arab Emirates, led by the Minister of Education of the United Arab Emirates, the Minister of Education Mustafa Muhammad Mohamud, and the Minister of Higher Education took part in this meeting between the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the delegation of the United Arab Emirates, led by the Minister of Education of the United Arab. Under the joint chairmanship of the Honorable Deputies Sharmake Musa Arre and Kaltun Farah Yassin, the Committee of Finance, General Economic and Planning extended to the members of the Committee on Legislations and General Administration examined on Wednesday, January 29, the bill number 75 2020 establishing the sovereign fund of Djibouti during this parliamentary proceeding which took place in the National Assembly. The government was present by the Minister of Finance Ilyas Musa Dawali and the acting Secretary General of the government Mohammed Saleh, the Director of the Head of State, and this new provision plan to set aside sustainable resources for the financing of future projects. After fruitful and constructive discussion, the members of two standing committees is in agreement with their guests from the government decide to continue the study of the corpus the following days, Thursday, 30 January. The Standing Committee on the Foreign Affairs, under the chairmanship of the Honorable Abdurrahman Awali Yassin, met on Wednesday, 29 January, to consider the draft law ratifying to the protocols of amendment to the consecutive Act of the African Union. This formation of the parliamentary committee took place with the participation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, spokesperson for the government. After an instructive and rich debates on the relevance and timing of the said text, the members of the Foreign Affairs Committee gave their favorable opinion on its ratification at the next public sitting. Health news now. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohammed Warsam Diria, together with the principal collaborators, share on Tuesday an important consultation and coordination meeting on the new coronavirus epidemic currently raging in China. The meeting was attended by the President of the Republic's Technical Advisor on Health, Dr. Abdullahi Adi Ahmed, representative of United Nations Agency in Djibouti, and the main medical official of Paris, including those of the judiciary, although the World Health Organization has decided not to declare a health emergency of international concern. The purpose of this meeting was to present to the participant the preventive measures put in place by the Ministry of Health. Discussion focused on the gradual strengthening of the prevention systems and the modalities for dealing with any cases of coronavirus in Djibouti. In addition, the World Health team made a presentation of the evolution of the epidemic situation in the world, and it was announced that their institution is ready to support the health department, particularly for the diagnosis and confirmation of a suspected case of coronavirus with an agreement with three internationally renewed laboratories to serve reference laboratories. For his part, the Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama Dirie, made a statement on the coronavirus epidemic in China and the prevention measure put in place by his department. The minister said did not fail during his speech to stress the need for coordinated multipurpose. For more details, let's listen to this report.
Chers compatriotes, face à la nouvelle épidémie de coronavirus qui sévit actuellement en Chine,
In the face of this new epidemic currently affecting China, we have from the very first days following the announcement decided to strengthen the measures for the control of international travelers and to introduce for all passengers arriving on our territory a temperature control to detect those likely to be contaminated. In collaboration with the service concerned, the management of cases on board the aircraft, the surveillance of travelers has been strengthened. The World Health Organization, with which we are in permanent contact, has taken the decision on the basis of the information currently available. Therefore, it does not recommend any travelers or trade restrictions at the time. I confirm you, no suspicious cases of infection has been detected in Djibouti besides all the preventative measures we have deployed which aim to prevent the introduction of the virus on our territory. The health professionals are at work and are preparing for the management of any possible cases of coronavirus. We are working together with all our partners, whether it's at the site or state services or organizations at the initial stages, to consolidate the measures in place and produce a fast, effective, and coordinated response. A toll-free information number, 1517, will be put into operation within the next 24 hours to answer to all of your questions concerning coronavirus. We are asking to remain vigilant and cautious against the fake news disseminated through social networks by unconscious or ill-initiated individuals more than ever. We are fully mobilized to address the crisis of this new coronavirus, and inshallah, we will serve to preserve our country. I thank you for your attention.
Still on health news, in view of increasing demand for blood bags and in order to effectively meet the needs of our hospital operating rooms, the National Blood Transfusion Centers proceeded to collect blood, this time from the Indian Navy in Djibouti. This blood collection took place in the presence of the Ambassador of India in Djibouti, who welcomed this strong gesture of humanism and altruism on the part of the Indian Navy to make this blood donation. This blood collection campaign has enabled the team of the CNTS to collect several hundred bags of blood, which are intended for the crucial needs of this vital look during surgical operation or during childbirth. The Ministry of Health attach paramount importance to the perpetuations of the blood bank and urge all the others, public and private institutions, to follow suit by participating en masse in this wave of citizens' solidarity for blood donation. The National Blood Transfusion Center is responsible for planning and coordinating blood collection activities at the level of all the entities and groups involved. The mayor of Djibouti City, in collaboration with UNICEF, yesterday organized a community dialogue between the members of the Council of Section 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the commune of Bulaus. The objective of this meeting was above all to congratulate all the inhabitants of the city of Djibouti for their participation in the campaign Djibouti City Clean initiative by the mayor of the mayor's office of the capital, but also to inform the representatives of the district on the preservation of the cleanliness of the urban living environment and the ways and means to so that our city remains one of the most beautiful capitals of the region. Let us remember that public health is everybody's business, and that the clean of the main roads and streets of the city must be a daily task, and that this campaign must continue permanently in each district. The town hall of Djibouti City has welcomed the collaboration and the strong involvement of the representative of the prefecture of Djibouti, the council of a district, the head of a district, and the associatives leaders in the direction. In accordance with the policy of strengthening the capacity of sport relate associative structure, the Department of Sport organized training courses on the organization of activities for association in three communes of capital at Guled Stadium. The 56 sport association participate in this training, which was based on four axes: structure and organization of an association, functioning of a sport association, planning of sport activities of the association, and also legislation of a sport association. The head of the sport association have benefit from this training and have basic knowledge about the association and the organization of sport competition. It should be noted that the second phase complementary to the first is planned for the next July or August. Within the framework of the contact with the rural community, the prefect of Tajora, Mr. Hassan Dabali, accompanied by the president of the regional council, Omar Hussein, went on Saturday morning to the sub-prefecture of Adailu, where he was first welcomed by the sub-prefect, Muhammad Bakr, as well as the community of Weima gave a warm welcome to the prefect Hassan Dabali. Then the prefect of the region is interviewed with the locals and the responsible dressmakers who came from the Feinatu and Guirori to attend this long-awaited contact. In this contact meeting, the wise men of the Weimar region expressed their grievance, of which they stress the difficulties relate to access to drinking water, and the prefect of Dabale said he promised to share this grievance and with the members of the government in order to find ways out of these problems. The prefect of the region also recalled the usefulness of the Boli Dafenetu Road project, which will start very soon and which will play a decisive role in the opening up and also in the development of the Grand Weimar. After taking with the community, the prefect of the region visit the well Simbil Ala in the company of chief of village of Kamil Ali Muhammad, who briefly examined and explained to the official of the history of this 1,000 years old well of the village. At the same time, the prefect visited the different dams to preserve the waters of in order to use the agricultural purpose. The prefect ended his tour in the village and in the village of the Feinetu, where he visited the agro-pastoral farms and the agricultural primaries of women in the Feinetu who remarkable work in the agricultural field. Still in Tajura, a team from the Federation went to Tajura to carry out maintenance work on the artificial turf football pitch. This team carried out an important work on the football's file in the White City. They swept the file in without rubber and the camp to grass. At the end of these works, Tajura found himself with the file in excellent condition and with a well-made synthetic turf. The prefect of Tajura, Hassan Dabale, and the President of the Regional Council, Umar Hussein, expressed their thanks to the President of the Federation for this excellent work. Moving on now to the international news, spokesman said on Tuesday that the humanitarian situation in Mali continued to deteriorate due to the increased violence and that more than 200,000 people were currently displaced. Details in this report.
The nation's spokesman said on Tuesday that the humanitarian situation in Mali continued to deteriorate due to increased violence and that more than 200,000 people were displaced in the country, up from 80,000 a year ago. During this year's dry season from June to August, 1.1 million people are expected to face serious insecurity in the country, said the spokesman for UN. Humanitarian challenges has increased considerably, he added. However, access is still possible for humanitarian organizations that rely on community involvement, principled aid delivery, and the use of local implementing partners to reach people in need. This year's humanitarian response plan for Mali is expected to reach 20% of the country's population, or 3.8 million people, and will acquire $390 million.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.
En vertu des règles de l'Union africaine, il est incontestable que Djibouti devrait être le candidat du groupe africain au siège du Conseil de sécurité pour la période 2021-2022.